Well, hello. I've had a crazy ass month and a half or so. I'm gonna roll the intro and then we're gonna get into it. So grab yourself a drink, join me, ask questions, make a comment, do what you got to do. I'll see you in a minute because it's a crazy story. Boom! Let's do this. All right, you guys are seeing me on Facebook, right? I'm not seeing it on here, so I'm gonna close this out. This is like the dilemma that I have every time. I'm sorry, but I have, and I didn't put a picture of my pops up. So I've been a little discombobulated. Understandably, when you hear the story, I've given you a tidbit of the information. Hopefully, I remember everything. I'm about to leave for Norway again, so it's gonna be crazy. So I hope that I am live. Forgive me for checking. Yes, I am. Thank God. Okay, do not disturb. And we're good to go. Okay, so there's a whole lot of things. And there's a whole lot of people that I got to thank. Tonight, I was going to do a little show on... hang on, sorry. I was going to do a show about travel tips. And this whole situation happened. So I'm gonna tell you a story about my dad. My dad's 86 years old, but I'm first gonna say that my older sister was 10 years older than me and 2 years older than Aaron. And then I have an older brother that's 8 years older. So before you guys say anything, I didn't know you had older siblings or whatever. That's inconsequential. There's a big age difference, and that's why we're just not as close. But we're still close. Pam, I don't know if you said something. If you put a GIF in there or GIF, whatever you say, it won't show up. You'll have to say something. But hi. So anyway, so we weren't like really close and we didn't talk all the time, but we always said, I love you, and that kind of thing. And she passed away suddenly 2 Mondays ago. So suddenly in the middle of the afternoon, I'm hearing, I don't know why I'm hearing notifications. I shouldn't be hearing those. So, I don't know how to put it on Do Not Disturb on here. It is on Do Not Disturb. I don't know why I'm hearing that. So maybe I can quit this. Oh, sorry. Having a little bit of technical difficulties. That's fine though. So anyway, we had to go to Roswell. So Aaron and I drove to Roswell, and then Tom. And so my older sister had 2 kids, and one lives in Roswell, one lives in Albuquerque. So they met us there. And then my brother drove the other, or my nephew there. And so we met there, and Aaron and I got an Airbnb. I mean, it was chaotic and stuff. And like, I need my own space, And so we stayed at an Airbnb, and Kim Perry, this beautiful person right here, it was through Berkshire Hathaway. So she actually got the key and got permission and found somebody, and actually filled the fridge with homemade enchiladas, beef enchiladas, fucking delicious, New Mexico style, a whole tray of beans and a whole tray of Spanish rice. So we were able to feed everybody with that, So, and my sister and I had a few meals with it. So no, we didn't tell people we were in Roswell. I reached out to Kim because she's a realtor, and she had just posted, because when my parents had to evacuate, like we've had some crazy, crazy times. When my parents had to evacuate from Cloudcroft because of the fires, which everybody is evacuating from Ruidoso right now. So my heart goes out to you guys. Okay. We're here for you. Oh, Pam, you are loved. You are loved too. So because of that, I had reached out to Kim and said, hey, do you still have that furnished place? And I was just going to rent it from her. And I was like, she said, no, it's rented. And so we got this Airbnb. That was interesting. I did a reel on it. And so she went and did that. So that's wonderful. And I'll mention the other people here in a minute. Okay. So here's what happened. My dad, being 86. And I'm telling you, I'm having sips tonight. And I got to pack. I've got Sitsquatch and Gorm. Gorm's going back to Norway with his little pal Sitsquatch here. Look, I can't do this at the same time. What's going on here? And we're going back to Norway tomorrow. We leave tomorrow, but we don't leave till like 1:30 in the afternoon. So I'll be at the airport early because that's who I am. But So here's what happened. So I'm just, yesterday I just had gotten home. I was doing something. It was about 3 something in the afternoon. And this guy's wife, John Billingslea. Okay. He's on Facebook. His wife is on Facebook, I think, but she doesn't have a picture up. So I have a picture of her. They have a cabin right next to my parents. And they also live in El Paso, Texas, which is not far from the cabin. So it's up in Cloudcroft, which is above Alamogordo, which is north of, that's the White Sands Missile Range. If you guys don't know about that, that's where they set out the first atomic bomb, all that stuff. It's pretty interesting. Sacramento Mountains. And so Pam's wife calls me, and she's doing the whole thing. I don't want to alarm you, but I'm like, just spit it out. And she's like, okay, well, your dad was on an ATV, and so he's just dad. He has to putz. He has to do something. So he's going up the mountain to check out like some septic thing or something, some new thing they're going to do. And so he goes up there and he's fine. And on the way down, the brakes, I mean, he doesn't really ride this ATV very often. So he probably should have checked it out better, but the brakes didn't work and he ran into a tree. And now apparently he ran into the tree so hard that the steering wheel thing hit the tree and it flipped that around, threw him from the ATV. He lost his glasses, flew off, his hat flew off, couldn't see him, couldn't find him. He was disoriented. Thank God he had his cell phone, because so he was here in Phoenix and he would drive to the Safeway on Osborne and 7th Ave. It's only like a mile or so from my house. I live very close to it. And one time he went without his phone. I'm like, Dad, you cannot drive without your phone. You just can't. So just in case, what if you get lost? I can help you find where you are. Okay. So he is disoriented. He doesn't have his glasses. I don't know how he had enough to see, because I have reading glasses. I can't even see you up there. Oh, hi, there you are. So he calls John and he tells him what happened. And then he said, I don't know where I am. And then he started walking, which is probably the dumbest move that he could have done. Like, he should have stayed where he was. It would have been closer. So he's walking in the opposite direction. So my 86-year-old dad is walking up the mountain, and he got so high on the mountain that when they did find him, they had to come out through the back way in order to get him down. So I'll get further on that. So he calls John, thankfully, and I don't know how he had enough wits about him. So he's walking, doesn't know where he is. John says, call 911. So he calls 911. While Dad's calling 911, John and his wife call the sheriff's department, and they put out a search. And I'm going to get emotional about it. For like almost a few hours, we had no idea. Like, I understand. Like, we have a lot of trauma in our family, and I understand better now. It's almost unexpressible, like what you feel like when you don't know where someone is or what's going to happen. So it's like all these people that have lost people in their lives that they've never found out. It's terrible. So then I'm thinking he's 86, and you're just going through all of these terrible thoughts, right? And so I call my sister, I call my brother, call my niece, we're just talking, and Mom can't get a hold of Mom. So this is really important that you guys have to like have your phones and answer them. But it's really important. Like, I live alone here. I have an attic. I go up there. I take it with me, because if something happens, I want to be able to call. Okay. So he called 911, and they were able to ping it. So what they do apparently is this is how Dad explains it. So I don't know if it's right, but they stop all calls. They block everything from coming in, and he didn't have full battery. And then they were able to ping him. And then they were able to talk to him. So they were telling my dad, yell out every once in a while. So I imagine him saying, I'm over here. Or, his voice isn't as robust as mine is, because, he's 86. And so they find him. So then we get the call thanks for Johnny here and his wife, who called and had enough, and then they're calling people around there, and I'm going to get some more things. So they found him, but he's stuck up there. Like, they can't get him down. So then the ambulance can't come up. My mom had fallen a couple of times. One, she's 83, and she got up on a chair to try and fix the plate on the microwave that's on top of the refrigerator. So we need to get that moved. And then the other one, she had walked down the hill looking for Dad, not thinking, But she was fine. So they found dad and they were just there with him. And there was an 81-year-old there that still liked to be a paramedic and still do things. And he had a heart attack. So then, okay, so these people right here. Okay, so Katrina Carter. That's a picture of her dad. So I thought, oh, that's appropriate. She lives in Alamogordo, and she's a nurse. I think she's admin now. But I was like, can you go over there? Can you see if dad's okay? And so she was going to go over there. And then these wonderful people right here, Heath and Lainie Hodges, who live in Mayhill. And Heath is the postmaster at the Cloudcroft there. Okay. And like my dad thought it was really cool because he went in there one day and Heath like helped him out and got something done, you know, in a faster time. And then just dad felt really cool, you know, and he basically doesn't go in a bunch of stores there, but he just thought that was really neat. Oh, so I don't know what I'm doing here. So I had all these people working on things. And so then I'm talking to Lainie. So she was in Las Cruces. She drove all the way to Alamogordo. She's at the hospital. They told her, you know, dad's not down there yet. And then the helicopter was leaving. So I'm like, oh my God, is a helicopter going to take my dad? So we don't even know how he is yet. Like they've called Heath a couple times and later I'm like, can you give them my info so that I can talk to them, you know? And so, I thought they'd taken the helicopter for my dad. But no, apparently not. This guy that was 81 that was working on my dad had a heart attack and they had to airlift him out of there. So he just wanted to keep working, you know, and they kept asking my dad, are you on any medications? And he takes one thing, I think he takes baby aspirin and Lipitor, something like that, something small. And they were like, that's it. And he was like, yeah. And they were just like, whatever. And then lady said, so they got him down and he didn't go to the hospital, which I don't agree with, but also he spent about 5 hours or 4 hours with the paramedics up there. He got back around 8:00 last night. And he was fine, mostly. And mom was worried, and they're all back together now. And the moral of the story is always have your phone. And like, seriously, dad, I don't know how it's a miracle. It is a miracle. And I was an emotional basket case yesterday afternoon. I'm like, all of these things have happened. And right before I'm going back to Norway, I just sent mom and dad a letter because I know they're going to worry about me. And, you know, everything's fine. I had everything arranged last year, so I'm all good, you know? So I called, so thankful again for these wonderful people. And I'll go backward this time. Lainie and Heath Hodges, thank you so much. And I'll tag you guys afterward. Katrina Carter, John Billingslea, and Kim Perry. And then also people that are not on hand. Phill, I don't know his last name, helped. And then Darrel Smith, who's a good friend of ours, who is also a flight attendant. He's actually an ex-fire captain. You know, he's just doing his thing. He was offering to help too. So, I mean, I have a lot of wonderful people. I mean, I literally was just asking Heath, like, can you just go there? Can you make sure mom's okay? Can, you know, blah. And they were checking her and he waited at the house. And I think he went back 4 or 5 times. And then they asked me how we're doing today. So, it's wonderful. And so, you know, so first with my sister, and like I didn't reach out to anyone, and my friend Josh had reached out to me. He said, "Hey, come by." And I was like, "No, I mean, we just didn't have any time to see anybody, so we didn't tell anybody we were there because I couldn't have said hi to people." But like the wonderful selflessness actions of these people to step up right away, put new faith in the world. To me, it's incredible. So I called dad this morning. He's fine. He's like, I'm fine. He's like, I'm a little stiff, but I'm fine. And he was having his coffee and he said, I'm going to keep walking around because if you sit, you know, it's not good to sit. Okay. So mama wants to know how they actually got your dad down. They had to come the back way. I don't know exactly what they did. They had an ambulance somewhere, but so wherever he was, this 86-year-old man got to the top of the mountain where they couldn't get him down. And they had to come on a back road. So I think someone said La Luz. I don't really know the area that well. So I think they took him down that way. So I think that goes down whatever, and then to Alamogordo like a different way, like a back route. So I don't know. Well, actually, they didn't take him to Alamogordo, so I don't know. They must have taken him around and just taken him to the cabin. Isn't that crazy? Only my dad. And so someone made a comment. Oh, my friend Janet, Courtney's wife, said, "Now I know where you get your strength." And so, you know, I do think that, like, so. Just count your lucky stars, my friends, because you never know. Like, I've had 2 things very recently that have changed my world in a second. So count your lucky stars and keep your friends close because you never know. Do I have another one? Oh, Pam says I used to do mountain rescue and they would have possibly put him in a basket and carry him down. I think Dad would have told me that. Oh, he said, okay. So when Lainie was at the hospital, they were already talking about like this old guy's just riding around on his ATV, living his best life. So, thanks for joining me because that was a crazy story. I forgot to put the banner up. A tough old guy that I call Pops. I know every second in the day is a gift, and you just never know when something's going to happen, especially when someone's 86. But I mean, he's remarkable. Remarkable. And I'm going to show you my favorite thing that I'm taking on the plane. I've shown it all these things before, but it's this, and it goes over the tray, and then it's got pockets. So then when you put the tray down, you're just on your own thing. You're not on a dirty tray. And I've got many, many more things. So I will update you in Norway. I'll probably do it earlier, and so you can just catch it later or something. But thanks for joining me. Thanks for letting me tell the story. I don't know if I've left anything out, but I mean, you got the gist. Very, very thankful. My dad's a tough old guy. You know what Sasquatch says. The journey begins with you, so be good to yourself. And peace and love, my friends, okay? I'll see you next week. Wish me luck on my plane ride tomorrow.